Hello, my friend. Yes, today I'm not wearing the compression gloves. I'm Pat Sloan for my daily video. At the end, I'll give you an update on my wrists, tell you a little bit about my status of them. But today, the first thing for our daily topic, what are we going to do? It says on the calendar, tips and tricks. And so it's your turn to tell everybody and me, what is your favorite quilting tip or your favorite trick that you found? Maybe it's using some household thing for quilting that you don't see used very often, or even if you see everybody use it, it's still your favorite tip or your favorite trick. So drum roll, it's your turn to give all of us your very best tip or trick for quilt making. So it's Wednesday, Block Wednesday, and it is block 11 for going on a picnic. And I love the theme today because I have a little story for you to go along with it. I forgot to bring the fabric over. I'll go grab it then. I did this last time too. I got interrupted because before I filmed this, my dad's wife was bringing over something for me, and so then I got distracted in the middle of that. Okay, never mind. Let's go on. So here is the block for our Wednesday going on a picnic, and the name of it is The Spread. So here it is. Let me first tell you what the spread means. For a picnic, you have to have utensils. You have to have plates and cups and, forks, maybe knives, depending if you're, a fancy thing where you might have to cut steaks, or, corn on the cob where you have to push the things in the end. My favorite thing about family story is from Greg's side of the family. My mother-in-law, Madge, her mother-in-law, Roy's mom, she was, I guess, someone who really liked nice things, really liked things to be a little bit more fancy. She would be somebody who would not be using the old butter container to put things in. She did everything with really nice items, really pretty quality things. So Madge said whenever they went up to visit them, they'd haul the three little boys all the way up to northern Pennsylvania, up in Kane, Pennsylvania, if you know where that is. And they would stay over for a couple of nights and visit. And she said they'd have a picnic, and her mother-in-law would bring out all the nice dishes, all the pitchers and the silver and everything else, so that when they had their picnic, that was what it was like. And I just think that would have been so marvelous to have experienced. My side of the family, picnics were much more casual, but I do love that you would get the paper plates and you would put them in those paper plate holders. Do you know those things? Do they even make those anymore? They look like maybe they were wicker and they had kind of a lip on them, so your paper plate went in there and it didn't go flying all over the place. But I guess it was, easier to, I don't know what the purpose was. So you still threw your paper plate away, but you had these wicker paper plate holders. I always loved those. I thought they were great. So I, once again, forgot the fabric to audition. I'm just not going to worry about it. Let's just go on. We'll do other things. You get the idea for auditioning the fabric, right? I am going to show you the seams because you like that. Yeah, this is the way life is right now. Sometimes you get interrupted. So here are the seams for this block, and my friend Ann pieced all of these blocks for me while I had my hands in casts up over my elbows and was not being able to do anything. So she actually pressed almost everything to the darker side, but then of course once she got to pieces like here, she had to press towards the lighter side. But most everything else got pressed to the darker side wherever possible, just short pieces. So that is what she did on this one for me. So here's the block. So I want to hear whether you have some picnic finery stories, like did your grandma have a special container that she put iced tea in, or something like that. That'd be really fun to know. When you do your block, share the story. Yes, a lot of you are not sharing stories when you show your block, because I'm not learning things that I wanted to learn. So you need to like step it up for me. I like to know the story. I like to hear the story. So this is the 16th, so that means there's a new spool block, and I went with red, one of my older fabric lines, which has text on it. It's got the red, but let me show you. I put the other ones together, so I've got 3 rows together now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Da, 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 da. And I wanted to tell you that this is like learning. Everything that we do, I love when a thought happens and then it morphs into something else and I have to go research it. So I went and researched whether on this block, when I asked, was a violin and a fiddle, were they the same instrument? Just called something different, or are they actually different instruments? Because I know there's different variations of instruments. But so I went out and I put a link to the website because it was somebody who does a lot of instrument posts, and they wrote that they're the same instrument. The violin and the fiddle are the same instrument, and that the difference is how you play it and the type of music played. So I guess if you're playing something more bluegrass, then maybe you would call it a fiddle, and if you're in the symphony, it would be a violin. This would be my easy. I'm not a big music person, so I don't know all the right terminology, but I just loved learning that. And so I think that Amy on her fabric probably was depicting a violin, since she has those nice, looks like other drums that would have been maybe in a symphony. I don't know. It's called Beethoven. No, it's called, I forget the name of the line now. I remember before. Okay. Now, I just realized my mind is very discombobulated today. Okay, so I just realized I did not show you my design wall with all of my going on a picnic blocks. Now, we have a little problem here, if you can tell. I have one design wall in my room because even though I have this red and white crush quilt back here, I can't reach it over top of that credenza to really put things on it. And in the back I have, here I'll show you, I have my glow quilt up there done in Bonnie Lane, and there is part of a wall back there, but there's a fireplace back there, so that's really not, I'd have to reach up really high. So this is my one design wall, and I layered got the layer cake quilt behind it and my blocks on top. Now I had thought in advance that I would use this navy stripe. I'll pull it in here for you so you can see it. So I've got that navy stripe and then the gold floral, which I think I'm still going to go with that. I love the navy stripe with this sort of, it's an ombre, it came from that line, from the goldenrod line, and I really like how that looks with the blocks. Now the gold, there really isn't a lot of gold in the line, even though they have that gold print, but I still like it. And there's a gold I'm going to use for cornerstones, and I think then putting the navy, I may even change up the border just a teeny bit and do a split, like do navy stripe, a thin yellow floral, navy stripe, and then a wider yellow floral. I've done that before on things, so it gives this sort of shift out and pulls the navy color out with it. So I'm thinking about doing that. And then I have a little basket weave to use for the cornerstones. And I had gotten 2 other prints to try out, and I think I'm just going to sew those to use as the backing. Whatever left of all of the fat quarters, everything's just going to get sewn up, the bigger pieces to use for the backing on this one. So that is my plan, Sam. But it is very hard to look at this. Very hard. Those 2 quilts do not go together very well on the design wall. Who else does this? Do you layer everything like this on your design wall so that it's crazy chaos? Yeah. I sent it to my friends and said, my local friends here, I said, I think I need another design wall. They're like, yeah, I think so. Okay. I had one Q&A question for today, so I'm going to do that, and then I will talk a little bit about the status of my wrists. Yes, so the Q&A is from Lucy. So Lucy said she loves my talks, but she does get overwhelmed with lots of projects. She starts them and she, maybe does one block and, doesn't get back to them. And so she's really not sure how to handle working on multiple projects, which I think, if you're not used to working on multiple projects, I see that as a very common thing that you have to sort of develop. You have to develop a way of learning how to work on multiple projects. Now, one thing that can help you is keep track of them. So there's lots of different planners out there. This little planner is really nice because you can list each project and what you're doing on it, the status, if you want to tape a piece of fabric in there or something, to help you with it, to remind you, or just to document. Otherwise, you can just sort of keep any notes that you want on here. There are other types of planners out there too, but mostly you need a list. You need a list of what you're going to work on, and then decide, okay, for the month, figure out if you have 6 projects that are ongoing, that like every month there's somebody like me who's saying, okay, this week work on this, do this row, or here's the next block for this sampler. So like you might have 6 of these. Well, if the block comes out on a day and it only comes out once a week, well, that's like today, Wednesday. So you have your block for today, and if all possible, make the block for today. Then it's done. Then this project's done for the week, and you don't think about it until next Wednesday, or do it the next day if you can't do it on the day that it comes out. Now, things like the fall quilt behind here from the layer cake, where we're actually sewing the rows, so you're sewing, like I can't even see a row, there's the top row, but if you're sewing a row, then decide, well, I'm gonna maybe sew that on Saturday, or Saturday evening I'll start it and see how much I get done. So really it's kind of just scheduling it and just knowing that you'll either work on it the day it happens, or you'll pick a day of the week that'll be a good day for you. Like that came out on Monday. So Mondays are when you could sew on the layer cake one. Now, if you've got projects that you got behind on, but you want to jump back to get back into them, then just start on the most current. Whatever the most current thing that was released, start that one. I hope that helps. Okay, so yesterday I went to my occupational therapy and I got some status. I still have another month with the therapist, and then after that month is done, we'll see the status again. So yesterday I did strength training, they take measurements, strength measurements, movement measurements. So she was doing all kinds of measuring about, how much I could move, how much I could bend. Gave me a few other exercises. I graduated to some very neon, I don't know, fluorescent, putty. Good gosh, it's not orange, it's like peach. It's like dark peach fluorescent. She called it pink, but it's, we quilters know this isn't quite pink. It's some sort of orangey pink. It's very fluorescent. You're not going to lose that in the house. So that's stiffer, which means that, and I don't have to wear the compression gloves unless I need to, although I found out that because the left hand still has a long ways to go, and it gets strained easily. And I also still have tissue that I have to work on from, the scar tissue underneath the skin that has to be worked on in this hand. So she recommended that, like when I'm trying to do the binding on my quilt, that I put the brace on because of the carpal tunnel. She doesn't want me curving the hands in, like you make your hand like up like this sort of when you're holding on to things or gripping like that. So she says she doesn't really want this hand doing that. Now, if you want to see what they look like underneath, if you don't, close your eyes. But there are my arms. It's hard to see, so you can see. I can't rotate them, but there's scars from here all the way up to the middle of my hand, like that, and same here. We can't, and they're all sort of, bruised and stuff, but everything looks good. The right hand is doing really well. The wrist, the rotation. Remember I told you this exercise where you rotate? I still have to do them because it still strains, but it actually rotates palm up. Now I can get palm up and palm down, but it should be able to rotate it with no strain. The left one, which is more damaged, I can rotate with no strain. So if you've never met anybody or had anybody that you're friends enough with to understand what they go through for a broken wrist with carpal tunnel surgery and extra bone breaks, now you'll know. If it happens to you, you can replay my videos. That's like so I thank you so much for all of your wonderful notes of encouragement and checking up on me. My local friends are helping me out. My friend Melanie, who sews for me, is doing an amazing job. Cindy and Dennis are helping me out. So, you know, Greg and I are so grateful for all the people who have sort of stepped in to do things for us. And I have local family here too, so that's always nice. My dad and his wife. That's what Karen was dumping the stuff off for me when I got all off track. Okay. I love you. Have a great day. I will see you online.